The laughter hit her like a slap before the words even landed. Mary Ann stood frozen at the edge of the crowded barn, her mother's grip tight on her arm, as old Mr. Whitfield's voice boomed over the noisy dance floor. "This year we have matched Miss Mary Ann Coulter with Mr. Jake Turner." The barn exploded. Men slapped their knees. Women covered their mouths and giggled behind gloved hands. Someone near the cider barrels shouted, "Two broken things make one broken home." Another voice called out, "She can't grow bobbies and he can't grow crops. Perfect pair." The laughter rolled louder, filling every corner of the barn, bouncing off the wooden beams above. Mary Ann's face burned red, then white. Her eyes stung. She wanted to run out into the dark night and never come back. Every face in that crowd was turned toward her, waiting to see her cry, waiting to see her break. Then something strange happened. Jake Turner did not laugh. He stood across the barn, hat in his hands, and he began walking. Slow, steady steps, boots hitting the wooden floor one after another. The laughter faded as folks turned to watch him. Nobody expected this. He was supposed to look ashamed. He was supposed to hang his head like a beaten dog. Instead, he walked straight through the middle of that laughing crowd, chin up, eyes calm, until he stood right in front of Mary Ann. He took off his hat completely and held it against his chest. "Miss Coulter," he said, plain and low, but every ear in that barn caught the words. "I would be honored if you'd have me, not as a joke, as a real husband if you'll let me be one." The barn went silent, not one laugh, not one whisper, just silence thick and heavy hanging over a crowd that had gotten exactly the opposite of what they came for. The wagon creaked to a stop and Mary Ann's breath caught in her throat. This was worse than the whispers in town had said. Fence posts leaned like tired old men ready to fall. The barn door hung crooked on one broken hinge. Weeds stood tall and wild where crops should have grown green. Two thin chickens pecked weakly at dry, cracked dirt. Jake watched her face, waiting for tears, waiting for her to beg him to take her back to town. Other women would have screamed. Other women would have wept. Mary Ann only nodded slowly, her eyes moving over every broken piece of the ranch like she was solving a puzzle. "It has been hard for you," she said softly. "It was not a question." Jake's throat went tight. "Folks say I'm cursed," he admitted, his voice low and rough. "Maybe I am." "I do not believe in curses," Mary Ann answered. "I believe in work." That night Jake gave her the only bed. He said he would sleep in the barn. Mary Ann said nothing against it. But sleep never came for her. She lay still in the small, dark house, staring up at cracks in the ceiling where cold stars peeked through the broken roof. Her chest felt tight with anger. Her cheeks still burned with shame from the laughter at the dance. But underneath all of it, something small and stubborn began to grow. "They think I am broken," she whispered into the empty room. "They think this house will break me further." She closed her eyes. Still, no sleep came. Instead, memories rose up, her father's rough hands guiding hers, teaching her to mend fences, to heal sick animals, to read tired soil. The town had forgotten. Before she was ever laughed at, she was a farmer's daughter who knew how to work land with her own two hands. Just before dawn broke over the dark hills, Mary Ann rose from the bed. She pulled on her plainest dress, tied back her hair, and stepped out into the cold, silent morning. Jake slept on in the barn, unaware his whole world was about to change. The first light of morning found Mary Ann already at the chicken coop, fixing its broken wire fence with quick, sure hands. The two thin chickens tilted their heads, watching this stranger who moved like she knew exactly what she was doing. Jake woke to strange sounds. Hammering, digging, wood creaking into place. He rushed out of the barn, hair messy, eyes wide with worry. He found Mary Ann standing on the roof. "Mary Ann," he shouted, his heart jumping. "Get down from there, it isn't safe." "It will be safer once it's fixed," she called back, calm as still water, hammer swinging steady in her hand. By midday, the roof no longer leaked. Mary Ann climbed down, hands blistered but sure, and moved straight to the broken fences without stopping to rest. Jake tried to help, but she directed him with quiet confidence, telling him where to dig, where to hold the posts steady. "You've done this before," Jake said, wiping sweat from his brow. "My father taught me," she answered. "The land does not care if you are a boy or a girl. It only cares if you show up and do the work." By afternoon, fences stood straight and strong. She fixed the barn door next, cleared out old rotted hay, and laid down fresh straw. She found a wound on the old horse's leg that had never healed right and cleaned it gently with water and crushed herbs. Word traveled fast, as it always does in small towns. A neighbor riding past saw her on the roof that morning. By late afternoon, a small crowd had gathered at the edge of Jake's land, watching in stunned silence. They had come expecting failure. Instead, they saw a garden freshly weeded. They saw fences standing tall under the orange evening sky. They saw a horse walking without a limp for the first time anyone could remember. And in the middle of it all stood Mary Ann, sleeves rolled up, dirt on her hands and face, stirring a pot of stew over a fire she had built herself. She had done in one single day what Jake had not managed in 2 long years. The crowd stood frozen, and the laughter from before was nowhere to be found now. Mr. Whitfield rode up just as the sun began to set, drawn by whispers spreading through town like wildfire. He sat on his horse at the edge of the property, staring at the transformed ranch with wide, disbelieving eyes. "This cannot be," he muttered. "This cannot be the same land." Jake stepped forward, standing tall for the first time in a long while. "It is the same land," he said, his voice steady and strong. "But it has a different woman working it now, a woman you all called broken." The crowd shifted, uncomfortable memories of their cruel laughter rising heavy in their throats. Mary Ann walked forward from the fire, wiping her hands on her apron, calm as the evening sky above her. "You gave me to this man as a joke," she said, her voice quiet but clear across the silent yard. "You thought 2 broken people would break further. You thought a woman who cannot bear children has nothing left to give this world." She looked around at every face in that crowd, faces that had laughed at her for 5 long years. "But a woman's worth was never only in her ability to bear children," she said. "It is in her hands, in her heart, in her will to work to mend what is broken." Silence held the crowd. Even Mr. Whitfield, who always had something clever to say, found no words waiting in his mouth. Jake stepped closer and took her tired, blistered hand gently into his own. "I asked her to marry me proper, not as a joke," he told the crowd. "Today she showed all of you what a real partner looks like. I am proud to call her my wife." An old woman near the back wiped a tear from her eye. "We were cruel," she said softly, "cruel to a good woman for something she could not control." One by one, heads dropped in shame. Mr. Whitfield cleared his throat. "Mrs. Turner," he said, "you have shown this town something today. We owe you an apology." The story spread far beyond Red Hollow, and though Mary Ann never bore children of her own, she and Jake opened their home to orphaned children, raising them with the same steady hands that had rebuilt a broken ranch in a single unforgettable day.